Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 38 of B-Road Ballers, the review series for Gran Turismo's selection of hot hatches. And some of those hot hatches are of course from Japan. And Japan has kind of a subcategory of hot hatches which I am a massive fan of. Kind of ironically, considering that I don't think I would actually fit in any of these vehicles. But I love them nonetheless, and they are called Kei Cars. And basically, these cars are a result of Japan's automotive laws and restrictions. Just like cars such as the Skyline, the Supra, the NSX, etc. have to be technically legally limited to 276 horsepower, but actually produce more than that. These cars have to be limited to a certain size, extremely compact, and tend to have around a maximum of about 63 horsepower, typically from very small turbocharged engines, say 650cc or so. Now this particular car is one of those vehicles. It's Mitsubishi's Kei Car, or one of them at least. It's called the Mitsubishi Minica, and I love this car. It's an unsung hero of the Kei Car class on Gran Turismo. Most people, by far, myself included, go for the most obvious choice of Kei Car in the game, which is the Daihatsu Core. And I would say that the Daihatsu Core is the best Kei Car in the game. It has a lot of power, it's seriously quick, and is just a good all-round machine. This car, though, is still a very good vehicle. Now, it doesn't have the sheer power of the Daihatsu, but it does have some very distinct advantages and some things which make it very unique and actually a very impressive all-round vehicle, not just in the game, but in real life as well. Because this isn't really a car that you hear people talking about that much. So, what's so interesting about it? Well, for a start, even for a Kei car, this car has a tiny engine. It's around 100cc smaller than the Daihatsu Core. This car only has a 550cc engine. That's only technically half a litre. It's essentially a motorbike-sized engine. But on Gran Turismo, that engine, which incidentally is a straight 3-cylinder with 5 valves per cylinder, which is ultra rare for a production vehicle, that's the kind of thing that you'd usually see on a supercar, can put out on Gran Turismo 154 horsepower. Now, in the broad scheme of things, on Gran Turismo and various other racing games, we get accustomed to having stupid amounts of power. 7, 8, 900 horsepower, 1100, 1200, etc. But 154 horsepower from a half a litre engine, especially a car engine, not a motorbike engine, is seriously impressive. It also puts out 103 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty thumpy for such a tiny engine. It is also significantly lighter than some other Kei cars like the Daihatsu Core. It weighs around 60 or so kilos less at 567 kilos, which is really impressive. And thanks to that ultra-low weight, even though the power isn't huge in a traditional sense, it still puts out 272 horsepower per tonne, which is not bad at all. As far as the PP, I would say it is really well placed. 469 PP is perfect for this car. It would be so easy for the PP to just be too high, and I personally think that the Daihatsu is a little bit too high at 496. This car, though, is far more usable with that kind of power at that PP level. It's a brilliant little car for twisty circuits. The handling, as you'd expect, is absolutely incredible. It's such a small car with a tiny wheelbase, extremely narrow, relatively tall in comparison, but still a low centre of gravity overall. The handling is incredible. It's so fun to drive. You can throw the car around corners at speeds which supercars would struggle to match. The brakes are incredible as well, because they've got hardly any weight to deal with, and also the power that it's given to work with is just enough to make it fast, but not so much that it's constantly working against you and producing stuff like wheel spin out of corners. It's just a great little performance car. And to top it all off, it only costs a fraction over 10 grand. It's one of the cheapest performance cars in the game, and it's a brilliant vehicle as far as I'm concerned. It's a very high revving engine. Peak power is at over 8,000 RPM, peak torque is at 6,000, so it likes to be worked hard, not surprisingly for a small capacity 3-cylinder turbo. And if you haven't checked out the Minica, I would definitely recommend it. It's a car which is very easy to forget about in favour of, as I mentioned earlier, cars like the Daihatsu, to some degree stuff like the Cappuccino, the Honda Beat, those kind of vehicles which are in a similar kind of class. But this car is definitely worth your time. It's so unique in a category where cars can easily feel very similar that it's refreshingly different. It has an unusually small engine, but with some serious power potential, and for its PP, the performance is fantastic. Obviously it's not the strongest of cars in a straight line, but if you use it on a twisty circuit, it will do you proud. So that's it overall for this particular review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.